Hey folks, my name is Tom from the Battlefield community team here at DICE. Welcome to another Dev Corner. Today we're here to talk about update 2.2, and with me are Patric, lead game designer, and Kalle, level designer. Folks, welcome. How are you feeling?
All good. Happy to be here.
Welcome, Kalle.
Yeah, very good. Ready to talk some Orbital.
Okay.
And other stuff.
And other stuff. So we have a whole bunch of changes alongside the Orbital rework and 3 new vault weapons and persistent servers. Kalle, let's start with you for the Orbital rework. It's the third of our map reworks coming to the battlefield. We've made a lot of improvements to the gameplay flow, added cover, new assets, etc. Can you talk us through what changed? And I think maybe let's start with the theme that we followed for making the map rework.
Yeah, sure. So the main themes we used to help us inform what we wanted to do and how to approach adding more cover and all the other things we did was essentially the military theme, a war-torn theme, and general nature passes, like working with the nature we already have, but changing it. So essentially that helped us inform how to, whether it was improving flow, adding a new flag, or just adding more cover. That helped us inform how to do those changes, essentially.
Okay, cool. And can you talk a little bit more about the areas within the map itself that we updated?
In general, so for the military theme, we used it across the industrial areas, a lot of flags, essentially reinforcing them with the military outpost kind of feel. You've seen it on both Kaleidoscope and Renewal previously, but essentially HESCO barriers, the favorite containers, of course, and other stuff like ammunition boxes and stuff to make it seem like the military has taken these spots and they're protecting them. And then the war-torn is that we added this tank convoy that has made their way through sort of the breakthrough flow. So you can see it across that path. There's been some destruction, there's some tank wreckages, and essentially they were stopped on the crawlerway. Previously a very empty space on the map that is now filled with craters and, general mayhem.
Okay, awesome. And in terms of the improved gameplay flow for the map, so we already mentioned we changed some flags, we moved some stuff around. Can you talk us more about what we can expect from the gameplay flow?
Yeah, so the biggest changes is to the Conquest 128 players layout. The previously less focused flags, the checkpoint and the radar, they are now the headquarters. So we move them in, which also allows for them to be useful throughout the match, because you might, if the enemy owns a lot of territories, you still have a ways in to a bunch of flags, essentially. And then we also, the loss of 2 flags we felt was maybe too much. We also added a flag in the middle, which also helped us connect the tunnel. So essentially what we did is we added like a tunnel exit on top of the big ridge between the cryo plant and the launch site. Mm-hmm. And so it makes this great connection, and it's a nice first flag to head on fight in immediately if you want to get into the fight right away in the match. And then we also connected it to the tunnel leading under. So also if you're running in the tunnel and you approach and you see a tank on the other end, you have a ways out. You can just in the middle escape through the sort of emergency exit, as it were.
That's cool.
Yeah, like what's your favorite new area on the map?
I think like right at the launch site. The area.
The crawlerway?
The crawlerway between.
Is it called the crawlerway?
Yeah, the crawlerway is the. It's not actually. That's what it is. Like a crawlerway is the sort of launch site, run up or whatever runway, but for these big rocket crawlers. So yeah, that one.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you. I think you just have to see it for yourself. Like it's just filled with like tanks and like this destroyed convoy, and it just looks really awesome. While before it was just the empty crawlerway, and like you can really see the war has progressed there.
Yeah.
And I think we also have another cool thing that we changed for the map. We updated the rocket launch event.
Oh yeah, we tweaked it a bit. It's an update, but it's more to make sure it happens more often. So essentially we made the launch, so how it works is that sometimes during the match in Conquest, it will initiate the launch sequence, and which is 6 minutes, and during those 6 minutes, the rocket is vulnerable. So what we did is we make sure it happens more often, like earlier, so we want to make sure it happens throughout the match. And then we also lowered the health a bit, and also made it vulnerable to bullets. It still takes quite a beating for it to explode, But ultimately, we wanted it to explode more often because it can still take off, which I think is important for the dynamic nature of it. But I mean, I think it's just way cool that it explodes. So I wanted it to happen more often.
We want to see stuff blow up. Yeah.
Do you like explosions?
Yeah, I do like explosions as well. Okay, that's really cool. And Kalle, I mean, if there's one takeaway you would like to have for players, like the coolest new thing in your opinion, or maybe the flag to move, like what is it for you? The one cool thing about the rework?
I definitely think it's the war-torn. I mean, I agree with that area. I'm super happy with it. And I can say it less biased because art deserves so much credit for how amazing it looks, but also how it plays. So I'd say that's definitely, because if it felt pristine before, I think it's like the opposite now. So I'd say that and the new flag. I always wanted to connect the tunnel to something more meaningful than just being a transport between the sides. So I'd say those two bigger changes are also the ones I look forward to hearing what people think about them the most.
Okay, awesome. So folks, as a reminder, the Orbital rework is available now. And to ensure you can jump in, we have a 24/7 playlist available, so you can play it whenever you want. So let's dive into the new Vault weapons. So as part of Update 2.2, we have 3 new ones. The ACWR, AKS 74U, and the MP412 Rex. Patric, can you talk us more about how these weapons perform on the battlefield and what we can expect from them?
Yes, the ACWR is a Battlefield 3 weapon. It's a medium to long range assault rifle. I would say it's similar to the SFAR, but a bit lower in damage, but more easy to control.
Okay.
So easier recoil to control. It's actually one of my favorite weapons from BF3 and also from BF4 actually. I remember vividly playing with that weapon in playtest back then, and yeah, I'm really happy to have it back in 2042.
Okay, awesome. So no, it's cool to hear that like we're bringing back like old favorite weapons to the battlefield that folks remember playing with, like such as yourself. The AKS 74U.
Yeah,
Bad Company too.
Yeah, it's actually from both Bad Company and BF3. And speaking of favorites, I think this is more of a fan favorite. So I think more people enjoy this weapon.
Me included.
Yeah,
It's been a favorite ever since BC2.
It's relatively low rate of fire, heavy hitting weapon. In 2042, we categorized it as an SMG because the original design and performance of it is closer to an SMG than that of an assault rifle. I think it will be a really nice addition to the game.
Okay, and then we have a revolver, the MP412 Rex.
Yeah, the MP412 Rex. It's a very heavy damage revolver. It's very powerful, and it's a quite nice rate of fire as well. So it's very similar to the M44 that we have in the game now, but it doesn't have the same massive headshot multiplier. But instead, it sort of makes that up with a quicker rate of fire.
How do you see these new Vault weapons performing within the existing all-out warfare now? So, like for example, we recently had the M60 and the M60. We needed to make a few balance updates there. What do you expect from these weapons when they?
It's hard to say until we really get it out there to the hands of our players. But I think that the ACV and the AKS will both be able to stand their ground against the other rifles we have in the game. When it comes to the Rex, I'm really interested to see, because I really think there's a high potential in close quarter combat areas to use this weapon as a sidearm and be really, being a really useful addition to the sidearm pool. Okay,
awesome, thank you. Kalle, you already mentioned your favorite. Which one are you looking forward to play with the most?
I really love a good revolver, so I think running around trying to test my skill with that one, I think that might be the one I go for. I think so.
It's a bit more forgiving than the M44.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Personally, I don't know. I just like the feel of the AKS. It just I like SMGs a lot. So looking forward to playing with that again. So recently we released update 2.1.1, which was a balance change update specifically focused for weapons. So the M60 got some updates there. Can you talk a little bit about how the previous Vault weapons are performing and after the updates we made?
Sure. Let's start with I mean the P90 or the Pro 90, as we call it as well. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's performing really well in the intended area of its use.
Yep.
And then we have the M60, which we see pretty good data on. It's doing well. The pick rate is very balanced, so I think it's in a nice spot right now. The advances, we recently did some changes to lower the power of it. It was a bit, and we'll still keep looking at that and monitor that and see if there's any future changes needed or if it's tracking in the right direction.
Okay. So as a summary, so we feel pretty content with the recent balance changes we made to weapons, but I think the events is the main one where we're still keeping an eye on.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on that one.
Okay, cool, thank you. So Patric, another much requested community feature we have as part of Update 2.2 is persistent servers coming to Battlefield Portal. Can you talk more about how this feature works?
Yeah, so first let me clarify how it works today with Portal servers. Yep. So when you create a server in Portal today, it will remain in the server browser as long as there are people playing on the server. When the last player leaves, the server becomes inactive and is removed from the server browser. So with persistent servers, we're fixing that. So even when the last player leaves, the server will still remain in the server browser so that anyone can join it and you can start favoriting your servers and coming back to the servers, and people can gather in these servers all the time. Okay.
So I think what the players have asked for is like, hey, we want to find that home, that one server where me and my friends can always go to. So that is this feature, basically.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're trying to achieve with this feature.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So who has access to persistent servers?
So anyone can play on them, but you need to have a premium battle pass, or of course, if you're a year pass owner, you can create these servers. So when you host your server, there will be a checkbox that you need to tick to make this server persistent.
Okay. So like I go into Battlefield Portal, I see my list of like available experiences that I created. I select one, click host, and I'll just see the checkbox for persistent server, assuming I'm a premium battle pass or a year one owner. Yep. And then just stays in the server browser.
Exactly, and you can create one of these per person.
Okay. And how long? So there is a caveat here. So how long do the persistent servers remain visible in the server browser?
Right. So what we're trying to achieve with this feature is to create these places where people go often and where they return to and to create these communities. So we want to emphasize the active servers and the servers that players like. So if your server hasn't been used for 7 full days, so no one has been playing at it at all for 7 days, it gets removed from the server browser.
Okay, but a player can immediately just spin up that server again if they want to?
Yeah, of course. You can always just start it up again.
Okay, great. And did we change any other functionality for hosting a server?
No, other than this, everything remains intact. The functionality is the same.
So with every update, we're also making a whole set of changes and improvements. I think in this update, we have a few hundred. So let's take a closer look about some of the changes we're making. Another big one is to laser sight functionality. Can you talk a little bit about this, Patric?
Yeah, so we're making improvements to sort of fix the misalignment between the gun and the laser sight. And in addition to that, you can also now see the laser pointer on other people and on yourself. So imagine like in an action movie where you look at, oh, what's this red dot doing here on my chest?
Incoming doom, basically.
The last thing we see before Florian, Mr. Drunksy, shoots us in the playtest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now we know when he's around the corner waiting for us. Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, and I think we just also updated the behavior and the flow. Like when you're moving around, it's just smoother. Yep. And I think for the P90 specifically, like that's where we noticed it was like misaligned.
Yeah, there's been some extra work done on the P90, yeah.
P90, Pro 90,
Pro 90.
I believe. Yeah, okay, great. So I'm really looking forward to the laser sight change because it just looks way cooler. So looking forward to seeing that in game. And then we have a change to the heavy armor land vehicles to their damage zone updates, which I think you can speak to as well. So feedback we've seen from the community is that, for example, like I have my recoilless M5. I shoot at a tank, but like I'm not really aiming, and I shoot at the wheels, and like the wheels are just the part is disabled after one shot. So we want to reward accuracy. So can you talk more about the change we made there?
Yeah, so the key was to the focus areas, I suppose. So like, for example, the wheel sort of area, damage area, it's now has increased health. It requires 2 shots to reward accuracy. So if you want to actually take out the wheels, it requires some effort.
Yeah.
And the same for the turrets, I believe.
Okay.
And it's to make sure, the tanks also don't, because I think we've seen they melt pretty hard. So to make sure, reward active players who has the anti-tank, capabilities, but also for tank players to make sure that they don't just melt straight away.
Yeah, okay, cool. So to confirm, so this is for the EBA Wildcat, the MAV, and both tanks. Their damage zone for wheels has been updated from 2 to 300. And for the turret, it's for the Wildcat and also both tanks from 250 to 350. I think we also reduced the health generation for the last mention to make sure like that's compensated for taking longer to take them down. Cool. So that's a summary of this update. So folks, we have the orbital rework, we have persistent servers, and 3 new vault weapons coming to the battlefield. It's playable right now. We also have an orbital 24/7 playlist available if you want to play. Thank you so much for being here today, Kalle, Patric. Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you on the battlefield.